Good morning, Rabbi Zajac.
Good morning. Good morning. With the help of Hashem, we are learning today's 3 prakim Rambam. Hilchos, Rabbi Ushmiras Hanefesh, prakim Yud Aleph, Yud Beis, and Yud Gimel, thus concluding the entire Sefer Nezikin, starting with the 11th chapter. Now, the 11th chapter is going to begin telling us the mitzvah of placing a guardrail around one's roof. And as the Rambam links this mitzvah with making sure that we don't create dangerous environments, that we take away things that can create a danger, and that will lead us into the whole topic of certain liquids. If they are left uncovered, there is the chashash, there is the fear that some sort of venomous creature won't only drink from it, but it's going to deposit venom in it, and thus we are not allowed to have from that liquid. This chapter has 16 halachas, beginning with halacha aleph, says that mitzvah say there's a positive commandment, lasois adam makel gagoy, for a man to build a guardrail, a fence for his or on his roof. As it says, clear, make a guardrail for your roof. However, when do we have this obligation? That's only a building that is used to live in, a building that's used for a dwelling. What does that exclude? That if a person has a warehouse or a barn, there is no such an obligation. Furthermore, a house needs a house. So you have the minimum size. Less than that, halachically, it's not called a house. If a house does not have 4 by 4 ames, right? Arba versus arba, when there's a hay at the end, it's called tfachim. Just with the ayin at the end, that's ames. Now, the Torah says v'asisa in the singular. Nevertheless, as the Rambam Malacha Beis, Bayishel Shnei Shutfim, if a house belongs to 2 or more partners, still it's equally obligated in making this guardrail chayiv b'makom. The Torah says in the singular. So first of all, the source for that is because it says right afterwards, Ki yipol hanoifel mimenu. In other words, if you have a roof with more details, as we'll see in a moment, that doesn't have this guardrail, then the Torah says for one, right, will certainly fall from it, or one might certainly fall from it. So since the Torah gives a reason that it's in order to prevent someone from falling, l'may nafkemina, whether it belongs to 1 person or to 2 people or to 10 people, equally a person can fall for it. Why does the Torah say in the singular your roof? So the Rambam says, that's taka to exclude something else. That's to exclude the obligation of making a makkah on a Beis HaKnesses, on a Beis HaMedrash. Why? Because they're not intended to serve as a dwelling. Now, another case, right? If a person is building a house on a very inclined area, right, like on the Ministro Rocha Azevedo in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, or here in San Francisco, what could happen is that the public domain is even higher than your roof. Now that means that one might think you still have to build a guardrail to make sure no one falls from the Rishus Harabim onto your roof. Nisht, says the Rambam. You're not chayiv. Ein zakak l'mayim. Because the Torah says the issue is to resolve someone falling off your roof, not someone falling on your roof. And not onto your roof. Halacha gimel. What's the minimum height of this guardrail? It ain't pachas masar tvachim. You think about it, 10 tvachim is really not that much. Today when we have a roof here, the roofs that we're building on the Adam project is going to be a lot more than 10 tvachim. But halachically, once you built 10 tvachim, you already did the minimum that's required. Now, the material of this partition has to be strong enough to enable a person to lean on it for people and not to fall out, not to fall off. If a person does not fulfill this positive obligation, not only did he violate the mitzvah saseh, but also as it says, wow. And they ain't like an alav zeh. Why? Because you didn't do anything. You didn't do. And for a non-action, you're not going to chayiv malchus. Lafisha ain't by mice. Allah chadal. Now, really, the Torah that speaks about the roof says that Rambam echad agag. This applies to a roof. The echad kol davar sheyesh by sakana. Any place that might present a danger, and v'roshi kashal ba'adam v'yamas, a danger that if a person will stumble on that danger, the person might die. For example, if a person has a well or a void or any type of cistern, today you would say a swimming pool right in your backyard, whether there is water in it, whether there's no water in it, you have to make a sand wall or a fence. I'm saying today, we have fences. You have to build a fence that is at least 10 tefachim tall. Or without making a fence, making a cover is also good, right? You can say that I know that here in Los Angeles, the city rules a swimming pool, which is good. Is the fence has to have a much higher? I think it was 5 feet. I think 10 tefachim is much less, and if not, they won't give you a permit. Same concept. Kavan knows something about the city rules over here. Maybe not for a swimming pool.
I was just asking, 10 tefachim is what, 32 to 36 inches?
Something like that. Listen, something like that. I think we're going to say it's like 38 inches. Now you're going to see how the Rambam in this chapter is going to go from the Makan to the Gilui Mayim. Was anything that can lead to a danger of life, mitzvah say there's a positive commandment lahasiroi to remove it. And I have to remove it. I also have to take care for me not to put myself into trouble. And to take very good care. As it says, and so here also, both you're a mavatel, a mitzvah say, and so now you see the segue. Halacha says that Rambam there are many things. Now you would argue, why do we need the chachamim? As we'll see in a moment, sometimes people needed the chachamim to point out that this and that can lead to a sakonas nefashos. And if a person will violate, and they're going to say, listen, I'm only putting myself in danger. Mind your own business. What do you care? No, if the Chachamim said that this activity will bring to us Hakonas Nefashos, then Makanoi say Makas Mardus. And Allah Chazayin ve'eluhei. And let us go. Number one says that Rambam, a person should not place his mouth on a conduit through which water flows and drink. And we'll see also for the same reason, a person should not drink at night when it's dark. Whether it's from a river or whether it's from a lake. Why? In both these cases, Shema Yivla Aluka, the person might swallow a leech. And if you swallow a leech, his life can be in danger. What's the pshat? You don't see. Either it's dark or because you're drinking through a pipe, through a conduit. Another thing. Don't drink water that was left uncovered. And we'll see in a moment, even if it was left uncovered only for a very small amount of time. Maybe a snake. Or any other type of poisonous crawling animal. And as the Rambam will point out, it's not that they drank from it. It's that when they drank from it, they then, or prior or post, they deposited venom in it. And the person that will drink it, can, God forbid, pasha die. And halacha zayin it's not all liquids, right? By Tum and Tara, right? We had the 7 liquids. Not all the 7 liquids. What are they? Number one, mayim, water. Number two, yayin, wine, afilu mazuk, even if it was watered down wine, which was what was needed to be done in the times of Chazal. And further than that, afilu hiskil tamoy, lishtanis, even if the wine's taste already began to change, meaning it's starting to go off, it's starting to turn into vinegar, the snakes are not that particular. They can have that also. And maybe they'll get beroiges. The wine is not good. They'll put more venom. Who knows? The hechol of milk, hadavash is honey, and hatzir brine. Even snakes like the yoach of the gefilte fish, the delicious yellow guk that is mamish, that are manashevitz, they love it. And they put poison. I think that is poison lachatchila. I don't know, but I think people don't die. Okay, avol shar shalom ashkin, but any other liquid, the Chazal said nothing to worry about. Now listen, of course, if you see a creeper that's venomous drinking from it, don't drink from it. We're saying stam. You don't know what happened. That they didn't say. She'ein bal eresh shoysim mehem, because the Chazal said that venomous animals don't drink from the others. Halachiches. Now, hashum shenesras seik, garlic that has been crushed, va'avatiach shenechtach, or watermelon that was cut open, and it was left uncovered. Also, guys, don't confuse this with the Gemara and subsequently the Alter Rebbe Paskins. The Alter Rebbe Paskins. I know it's not in the Shulchan Aruch, not in the Ramah. That garlic, that its peel was entirely taken off, and onions, that peel was entirely taken off, and hard-boiled eggs, that peel was entirely taken off. That's something else. There we learned that if you leave it overnight, even covered, even in a plastic bag, in the fridge, in the drawer, Alter Rebbe Paskins, you may not have it. That's why all of these garlics that people don't want to get their hands smelly, which I understand. So you buy in all of these kosher marts, right? We are not allowed to eat from it. It's a sakana, but that's a ruchniisdik sakana, not this. What's here we're learning about items which Chazal tell us venomous creatures might have deposited venom. That's our topic. When you learn similar topics, garlic, not the crushed. When you add anything to the garlic, I'm going back to what I'm mentioning. They add a little bit of salt. They say certainly if you add salt and oil, many people leave eggs for Shabbos. They do it before Shabbos. If you add something to it, then even following the psak of the Alter Rebbe, you are allowed to have it. It's only if it's pure. Or as the Alter Rebbe says, if you leave a little bit of the peel of the garlic, abyssal, a little bit of the peel of the onion, epis of the peel of the egg, also not a problem. That's not what we're learning about. We're learning about that when you crush garlic, that attracts certain venomous creatures. Same thing with watermelon. Yayin mavushal, if the wine has been cooked, the yayin toises, which means unfermented wine. Snakes don't want that. They have class, they have style. They're going to drink up yayin mavushal. Of course not. Now, how do you define halachically unfermented wine? So many times we learn about the wine that has been fermenting for 40 days. That's not how we define toises. Toises means it's within 72 hours of it being crushed. Mamish, garnish ver. No, there's no fermentation at all. The toises wa yayin, the shastri chase achloisha yamin. Another than the yayin or wine, or mayim or water, or chalav or milk. If they are hot, how hot? Kols mancha have a oil and if it's smoking hot, not a problem. If there is about a gathering of water and their source is dripping into it, drip, 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 all of that scares away these venomous creatures. In other words, it can't be a drip and then it rests for a moment. It's when the effects of the first drip goes away. Prior to that, the next drip came in. Why? Because these crawling animals, misyorim, they fear from the bubbles or from the vapor. And during that time, the ain't choice in halacha test. Make of us any beverage, right, that was used for pickling. Which, by the way, they say now is very healthy. Keep on changing. This is the healthiest thing in the world. It's going to heal your gut. Waters in which foods were cooked. May turmusim is waters in which vetch, which has to be cooked many times over, were cooked. All of that. Water. When pickled foods, you understand, or cooked foods, or veg, after they were prepared, if later then they were soaked in new waters. Verstehst? So what is about that? It depends. If the taka doesn't taste like the way they used to taste, in other words, the pickling already permeated into it, then emem shum gilui. Ve'im ein behem loisam tam, then asurim. Chein maim shediach behem perishim v'dar moiskim l'choyle. If you have waters in which quince, or let's taicha, the perishim Syrian pears, were washed for a sick person, that waters are not substantially transformed, and therefore they remain problematic. Asurim mishum gilui. Halacha yud yayin sheneschaber by devarim chadam kipilpulin. If you have beverages, right, that got permeated with sharp tasting substances like pilpul, like pepper, like devarim mudim, or with something that's very bitter, ka'af sintin, like wormwood. Kevin is going to put a picture. If that will help you, you know the word, not you'll understand the picture, but good. Now you push it, you have a bitter or you have a sharp. And not only by water, by all the other liquids that the Rambam mentioned. This isur, water was left uncovered. When? Makes no difference. Whether it is by Yom or by Laila. Equally asur. Furthermore, if someone was there, but the person that was there was sleeping, why? Here we go. Here we have a picture. Because because crawling animals are not afraid of sleeping men. It's amazing. They sense. You have to wake up, Kevin. Come, another thing. How long do we say, it was left uncovered, no one was there? It's a very short amount of time. We have to be chayish that the creeper was so near, they were mamash under the container. Right there. And they drank and they went by under the container. Even if it's under the ear. In other words, we have to suspect that a few seconds. Okay. Now we already learned, when we learned the sugi in the Gemara, Tosfos already writes that in his location, that means in the Western civilized, that French world, if you call that the civilized, there were a lesser amount of these creepers, and therefore this chashash was diminished. And Tosfos writes it went away, which is, you have to understand that there's a big chiddush in that, because many times, or most times, once Chazal make a takana, I don't care whether the reason is no longer relevant. You have to have a gathering of the Sanhedrin that's greater b'chachma b'minyan to overturn it. That's not by sakonas nefashos. That's by gezetas. This is not a gezeta. This is a sakana, and this changes with the sakana. Also, to point out, we said this when we learned the sugya in the Gemara, that al pi Kabbalah, it's not about the physical creeper. It's about the ruchnias dika negative forces, and it remains intact overnight. And that type of water left cover overnight, we're not going to drink from. Many people that I know are so machmir on this, not me, I met these people, that the hot water kettles, they don't leave it overnight. I don't know what they do for Shabbos. Maybe they don't have hot coffee on Shabbos. I'm out. But in Shulchan Aruch we paskin, wine that's left uncovered, you can't make kiddush. That's a halach. But let's go back to this man when there was a sakana. That's what we're learning back over here. So let's move. Let's finish this chapter. Now, halach yud beis. Now, shiur hamay shiasru in this galu. Another thing, how much is there a minimum quantity? So the Rambam writes something that many people challenge. This has to be understood. He writes, "Kidei sheyasam nikar behamazik," as long as the venom could remain a distinct entity. Mashma that it's bottled. Problem is that Rambam is going to write soon that many venoms they fall to the bottom. In Enoch, the Gemara brings a story, and 9 people drank and everything was good, and the 10th person died. So people say that the Rambam is speaking about this bittul. There is a bittul, is that if you have water and you mix the water, you understand? And now that everything is mixed up together, and many people say you are allowed to add water lechatchila. No, it's ema vatlin isur lechatchila. Here it's about sakana. And there was so much more water than the venom that the venom b'chlal is bottled, then it's not a problem. But again, many people understand it's not just enough that there's a lot of water, but you actually mixed it, as we'll learn in a few moments. And that's bein bekelim, bein bekarkois, and bechenadim b'sharamashke. Halacha yud gimel. Another thing, that amayin hamoisher kol shuhu, that if water, right, if you have a stream, and the stream is flowing, it's flowing in Yiddish, it's called, it's kratzing, it's flowing very slowly, but it's moving water. Another thing, login, megula, a lug, right, a container. that's left uncovered, and the container was not laying on your table or on the floor, but it was the container itself was inside a shida table or migdal. No, it's much harder begashmis for a creeper to get there. Or so the din is like this. Or can you imagine? No, you have a tower and or you have a hall, and the hall is plastered, which means that it was common then people used to use the wall as a shelf because the hole was filled with holes. No, our types of walls. No, it's plastered over. All of that says that Rambam. Nevertheless, it's also that's the nature of these creepers. They creep. However, if you looked inside this large container in which you had this loig of mayim, and you know there's nothing in there, here you see clearly that al pi halach, al pi nigla, it's about a physical creeper. So if you know prior that they can come from this container, it can be outside, so what? It's contained. But if you have the most minute hole also, and how little does a hole have to be, even if it's only big enough, because they don't need much. It's amazing how big creepers can fit through such a small hole. Halacha Yudalid, Chavyesh and his galsa, if a jug is left uncovered, it's a big jug. And 9 people already drank from it. Happened. Fact, nothing happened to them. Lo yishta asiri. And indeed, Maise, Hayu, for Amru, that the 10th person drank, and he got for Rahman al-Latzani, Pasha died. Why? Because certain creepers, poisons, they sink to the bottom. And as Chazal say, some of them stay in the middle, some of them stay on the top. You don't know where it's going to be. And then the Rambam says, there's another type of creeper, venomous creeper, that it floats to the top. Some of them stay in the middle. And furthermore, even if you went and if you're going to go ahead and you're going to filter it with the filter, not all venoms will be filtered out. They're going to go through the filter. But I want to go back. So when people are going back, just to repeat, that when the Rambam writes in Halacha Yud Beis, right? When the Rambam seems to say that Mayim Merubim, people say that's the stira. Like, why do you mean Mayim Merubim? For saying that the venom can stay to the bottom, who cares if it's Mayim Merubim? So they say Anachanami. If you did it, but if you mixed it, then you can be mavatal it. And v'chein, we're in the middle of Halacha Yudal. Havatiach shenis galon, a watermelon that was left uncovered. No one should eat it, but people ate it. Nothing happened. Not 2 people, not 9 people. No raya. Because could be that the venom stayed in one location, and God forbid you might eat pung from that location. It's called a shlamazel, and you'll die. So don't do that. A shlamazel you'll remain, but at least a lebedik shlamazel. Halacha tezva. If you have these waters and they were left uncovered, the din is do not pour them into a public domain. Now you have to understand, my friends, that people used to walk barefoot, and if a person has a cut on their toes, because they go to the mikveh every day, that's the minig, and you get all these things that begin to grow in between your toes. Alta Yiddish minig, and ultimately there's the flesh is exposed. So then, God forbid, the mikveh is great. The mikveh will heal you, but this will kill you. Also, people used to make the dust settle by sprinkling water. Same thing. People walk barefoot in the house. Don't put it out there. Don't use it to mix mortar. It's amazing because maybe the guy that's mixing the mortar with his hands has a little cut. Don't wash your hands, feet, and your face, hands, and feet. Don't even give that to your animals. Not even to your neighbor's animals, unless you really, really don't like it. Just kidding. You can't do that because they might die. The only animal that we know, the Gemara speaks about it, that can eat poison and will not die, will get sick but won't die, is that ketzel, is the cat. Cats are gewaldig. That's why cats are good. They get rid of your snakes, they get rid of your mice, and they live. Now, they come with their own luggage. But at least, one thing resolves the other. You have nut sodas, you have cat sodas, not snake sodas. Halacha, the final halacha of the shtat halacha to Zion, says the Rambam, Isa shenaloisha b'mayim megulim. Someone went ahead and they needed a dough. So you have to understand something. If you remember it, in the Chiddush even of Truma, remember, if Truma becomes tummy only with the Rabbanon, you can't even burn it. Because Ushmartem, nit toilen, not over here. Chamira sakanta meisura. But you're not allowed to burn Truma, that's Tahira, you have to burn it. If you burn it when it's tamei, chamira sakanta miyisuda. That's it. Afila shaltuti sare. And even if the bread was baked, so some person can think, the science. Once you baked it, you took away the potency of the venom. Maybe yeah, maybe not. It remains asuram. God willing to be continued. Okay, Kevin, like this. Tomorrow I'm not going to be here. So Tuesday morning we're going to learn the 2 chapters, and Tuesday morning, God willing, we'll finish the whole Nezakim. We're getting